Good evening, everyone. I'm Aham Shafai, Director at IAR Projects Online Art Foundation. I would like to take my chance to welcome all of you on Why Some Things Form and Other Things Don't Again. Pak-Keung Wan's artist talk in connection to his current solo exhibition at IAR Projects. Pak-Keung Wan was born in 1970, Hong Kong. He combines his drawing-focused practice with installation, photography, print, and performance, through which his concerns with process, transmutation, fusion, and temporarily become tangible. Then completed his MA in Fine Art, printmaking at the Royal College of Art with a Henry Moore Scholarship in 1994. He has participated in solo and group exhibitions, undertaken artist residencies in galleries and museums across the UK, US, and India. Now I would like to present a video of the exhibition. Thanks for joining us today. So can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Pak-Keung Wan. I'm an artist working in the UK. Chinese, I suppose, but I'm making work, lots of drawing at the moment, which I have done for quite a while, and thoroughly enjoying it.
Amazing.
As well.
That's very good. So I'm going to start the questions, and first I would like to ask, why drawing?
Yeah, why drawing? I mean, drawing. Yes, it's often when I make work, I don't think in my head I'm making art, and I like the fact that drawing occupies other spaces. You know, it has its own lived history, which isn't just in the art world. You know, it's not art possessed in a sense, and I really like that. You know, it's democratic in that way, and I like being part of that. Also, when I'm drawing, it's quite a sensual experience for me. You know, often in fact, the word drawing is kind of too mechanical. I like to think that, especially with my in papiro drawings, I like to think that I'm feeling something into being, you know, through touching the surface. So that sense of feeling something, that sensuality, is closer to how I feel about drawing as well. Yeah, so that democracy, I mean, I like kind of tapping it into that, and it's not just part of the art world or an art medium. Yeah, so that's why I like drawing. Really.
Great. What is the drive behind your practice?
Yeah, this is quite hard. I mean, drawing is, I mean, going back to that sense of drawing being outside of the art world, I do see drawing as kind of like a kind of type of behavior. So that relationship with behavior and the everyday, that relationship between art and life, I suppose what drives my work is kind of getting a heightened sense of the everyday through making. Something more than the ordinary, something which is extraordinary. And that's how I see art making in a way, or making my work. I don't know if other people see it that way.
Yeah, I see what just what you are talking, just how the way you are talking, and just I can see that extraordinary throughout your drawing and your practice, which is amazing, and I'm a fan of your work. So just yeah, I believe in that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. And how did you come up with this idea of combining drawing with other forms of art?
I found this a strange question, actually. So, I think, I mean, okay, let's talk really about it on one level, on a art practice level. The courses I've done, the teaching I've had, it hasn't been driven by mediums. It's not medium specific in that way. So that sense of doing one thing has never really occurred to me. Although drawing has been consistent, I think it's more driven by ideas. I think a lot of artists work in that way as well, driven by ideas, driven by thoughts, and you kind of choose the best mediums to express that. Yeah, so let's say, also that sense of working in multiple ways. I was thinking about it this morning. Maybe it's to do also with the sense of not having a specific identity. There's kind of plurality, being partly Chinese, but also being brought up in the UK. And there's that sense of shifting, being quite shifty in a way, not being tied down to one thing. So I was thinking maybe that's contributed to the kind of plurality of how I work. But then again, I think it's more to do with my training, how I've been taught to think as well, think through things. Yeah, it's mainly to do with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You brought up that just about identity somehow, and just somehow just you mentioned that also, like just you work on fusion, and just that is sort of fusions, like to mix things together, which just you experience somehow, and it reflected the identity.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to that sense of that cultural identity. I mean, when I was growing up, it didn't really mean a lot to me. I kind of actually felt pushed away from having that sense of identity about me. I was much more interested in things which are kind of more fundamental, and I think things like, I've done a lot of work using by relating myself with planets, with phenomena, with winds, with the sun. So those kind of bodies, in a way, and also being kind of choreographed by those bodies, or moved by those bodies in a way. So that sense of identity has been more meaningful to me rather than a cultural sense, which again, which is why I'm very interested in science. It has that kind of, well, supposedly that sense of neutrality of just simply being human. You know what I mean? And I'm more interested in that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, the title of the exhibition, which is I really like. This is very amazing. And why some things form and other things don't again. Can you elaborate on the title?
I suppose, yeah, it's quite an amusing title, but it comes from something, I suppose, an event in my life, in our lives, where we're trying to, we're trying to conceive, and I was at the time I was reading a book written by it's a paleontologist, Stephen Jay Gould. He speaks about how contingency plays a massive part in our own evolutionary history. So contingency is actually very much part of the fabric of our own bodies. Why something happens, why something didn't happen. So the fact that dinosaurs were killed off by meteorites, I mean, that's a contingent event. You know what I mean? So we grew out from contingent events. Now I really like that, and that sense of trying to conceive and trying to figure out why things weren't happening, why things, why our bodies don't have an agency about, and the fact that we are kind of we're vulnerable, we're prone to these other forces which we can't explain. Why isn't something forming when things form in other places? You know what I mean? In other bodies. So that's where the title came from. So it's kind of a way for me to question those things. Yeah.
Amazing. And I like that again. Like, I know how it came from that again, but do you like to explain that as well?
Again, yeah. I mean, I first used the title for a previous show, so you could say, I'm using it again, the title in that way. But then going back to that reference of conceiving, things didn't happen again. So again, there's a negative there as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That's about it.
Okay, tell us about the being in body and what is body to you. So just me, myself, I'm like, just really into body. And that is, just something is really, just interesting to me. And I'm sure a lot of, just our audiences or whoever they are going to watch this talk series, they would like also to find out more about like how you think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't yet feel qualified about making comments about the body as such, but in terms of the state of being in the work, it is what I'm interested in. So my state of being in the work often comes with a lot of labor, with kind of work ethic. That's a sense of being in the work. And I really like that idea of when you're making work, you're actually being made back as well. The work is making you as well. So there is a reciprocity going on there. And it kind of links in with the repetition question later on, that sense of doing something again and again. I mean, it does bring you back to what the body is, and something which is fleshy, and something which is present, very present, whilst you're making the work. But also the body of the work. I mean, the body of the work for me is often is to do with a pencil. It's to do with a flat surface. It's to do with say something two-dimensional. Those are for me at the moment the body that I find it in the work, like itself. So I think for me, that's where the body exists, and that's in a way perhaps more I can talk about more than being a sense of. Well, I can't say, you know, I think other practices speak about the body in better ways. I mean, I've looked at your work, Elham, and you deal with the body a lot in your work. I mean, what do you think about the body?
Actually, you know, just as you mentioned, you know, just body is the state of being as well to me, but I also really believe into mark making. You know, just I would like to make mark with body, and that comes from, you know, just ever since of our existence as human being in human body, you know, just they teach us how to mark ourselves somehow, you know, just throughout the agencies. So just the agencies that have like very kind of, you know, just huge impact in our being or what we are doing. So, you know, just whoever we are and whatever we are presents, like, you know, just even though through the body. So just that's a work of agencies. And my body normally, you know, just has a strong connections to unbelonging, because I believe into loneliness, like, you know, just we are somehow, you know, just creatures who we are lonely and lost ever since we are, you know, just we came to the world. And forever, as I mentioned, you know, just we try to mark ourselves to be belong somewhere. So, you know, just and that marking somehow come throughout the body. And, you know, just even though, like, you know, just those marks we learn to make, that also includes making art. So just that's what I think, you know, just of body, and I try, you know, just to express that through my works.
Okay. So it's kind of like a piece of work or drawing is kind of like a register in a way of the body.
Yeah.
Also that the body is absent within that process as well in a way.
Yes.
So, yeah, I really like that idea of the body being present, also the body being absent within that process of making. You know, and the body, the drawing actually having the implication of a body behind it or within the making of it as well. I really like those ideas.
Amazing. Okay, so I have another question for you. Like drawing inhabits the body, and please explain more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, again, it's that sense of drawing being quite an expansive term. Again, drawing existing outside of what you do on a piece of paper. So, I mean, even in our vocabulary, you know, the idea of being drawn to something or being drawn by something or drawing breath as well, you know, I think is very much part of our bodies, you know, in a sense, you know, that sense of being drawn. And so that's what I mean by actually drawing inhabits the body, you know, away from the paper, away from this kind of image making process. I mean, it occurs in other things that I do in my life as well. I do a bodily practice called Qigong and Tai Chi as well, and that there is a sense of drawing within that, in that we deal with acupoints in Qigong and also meridians as well, meridian lines. And so part of the Qigong practice is connecting acupoints between the body. So when I do that in the morning, there is a sense of drawing going on within the body as well. So again, it's very much bigger than pencil and paper, something like that. So in a real sense, for me, that drawing inhabits the body in that way as well. So,
amazing. Yeah. Okay, so just what do you say about the repetition is a form of change? Can you brief us on that?
Yeah, I mean, I put this in my statement. I often use it. It's after speaking to my friend who's a writer, and the term actually comes from Brian Eno and Walter Schmidt. Brian Eno is a musician, and he created these cards which help people who are kind of in some kind of creative block. So these cards have suggestions for you to get you out of that blockage, you know. So, but again, repeating, doing something again occurs a lot in my work. You know, I've made a lot of work using breath and breathing, and that repeat of something actually takes you. If you didn't repeat those processes, you wouldn't get to the actual work itself. You know? So the repeating something in a lot of my work actually serves a real function in getting to another stage in the work. Again, it comes back to that sense of being made back. You know, whilst making the work, you know, and the work is making you, whilst you're making the work as well. You know? And also in the Impapuro drawings, so that they were created by using a rule that I made up, that when a point extends out from its, when a line extends out from its initial point, it has to return to that point before it extends out again. Yeah? So in that rule, in that process, there's a lot of repetition going on. But from this simple rule, I was able to get lots of variations of forms. So it was like this rule served as the DNA for all these different bodies that I was creating. You know? So again, repetition played a big part in that work. And in the Ascent drawings as well, on the wall, I mean, each one of those took 3 days to make. And just moving left to right, right to left, left to right for 3 days, you know, that does something to you. And in a way, I did feel something about the mountain, you know, after those 3 days, you know, within myself. And I often thought about those works as being, because those works came from, the first works I made, they came from after going walking in a range of mountains in Wales, which is
Pak, I cannot hear your voice. Oh yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So those pieces came after I spent time camping and walking within a range of mountains. So I often see the Ascent drawings as carrying some kind of vestige of those forms, of those mountains within me, and in a way that they were kind of moving me, you know, in the making of the work. You know. But, that idea of vestiges being part of your makeup of an experience or of other forms, I think that carries a lot through my work as well. You know. So yeah, so that sense of doing something again and again, you know, it operates on, you know, on the physical level, but also on the mental level in my work.
Actually, I wanted to ask, my next question was about your process. So, has your process, like, you know, just how does it start, or like, you know, just yeah, if you have something to explain more about the process, because that would be very interesting, you know, just to go a bit deeper into that.
It's quite broad term. I mean, I'm very interested in processes, actually. I think there's a long time where I actually looked within processes to start new work. And I think that came from my study of printmaking, where processes are, you know, a lot of printmaking is about process. You know, you have to find some, for me, printmaking, yeah, I suppose going back, I don't see myself as an image maker. I don't see myself as making images. So these forms grow out from a process, or grow out from a way of working. So process is quite central to how I work. But there was a really nice quote that I read once from a book in Susie Gablik's The Reenchantment of Art. I think quote, yeah, she describes how synchronistic processes by which one attracts, as if by magnetism, the next piece of vital information. So I suppose that there is a foundation in what I do, in that it's print-based, that there is a reliance or look towards process in that way. But then other things come into play as well, other bits of information are built onto that as well. But I do see my work as very print conscious in a way. So yeah, I don't know if I explained that, touched on that well enough, but that's where I see processing operating in my work. Really.
Yeah, I also believe in process. Process is very important. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a way of working.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way, as a methodology, I think, in how they approach the working. Again, it's that sense of being in the work, I think. Yeah. How are you in the work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you explain about how you investigate the boundaries in your work?
Could you elaborate on that?
Like, is there any like, just either through the process or the topic, the theme, if like, just whatever, like, just is there any boundaries for you or no? Just when you are starting, like, just is there anything just can stop you, or like, just it can move your direction somehow? Is there any or and if there is, what are those?
Yeah, this kind of connects to the question, the last question you sent me, do the digital.
Yeah.
And for me, I suppose the boundaries are if things extend too far away from the analog. For me, the materiality of something, the substance of something, the being able to touch something is really important to me. And also that sense of eyeballing something, it's really important to me. So I mean, the work I'm making now, called Loon, which is where I'm making drawings from this publication by NASA, where I'm using it. The publication details all these solar eclipses over 5,000 years. And I'm using the path of shadow from each of these diagrams as the first line for each of my drawings. So, so what I've got basically is kind of like these very organic forms, organic bodies. And I was thinking about animating them. So going into the digital realm and animating each one. Because in the book, there's 12,000 diagrams. So I'm thinking of making a drawing for each of those. It's like a life's work, really, for me at the moment. And I've made about 1,800 so far. But I was thinking about animating each of these drawings. But when I started, I really didn't like the digitizing, because it severed that analogness, and which is really important to me, and took me into this world where, yeah, it's just in its own world. Really. It's away from reality in a way, with the digital world. But at the beginning, I was so intent on taking it into that space. But when I got there, I hated it. So the way I show these drawings now is purely as they are. on a flat surface, and the fact that the person has to eyeball them, you know, is in front of them. And that they walk across the room in where they're displayed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's animated for me. So there's a person still participating in that analog world. That's really important to me. So I suppose that's the boundary for me that I I'm not able to cross at the moment. Staying in the analog world, in the real world. That's the boundary.
It's interesting. So I'm very curious actually to see those drawings. Do you have anything you can show us like about this project you were talking about?
Right now, you mean?
Or even later, if you're not able to show right now, so just that would be just.
It's in my plan chest at the moment.
Okay,
and,
all right.
It's all stacked up. So
Just whenever you have a
all...
chance, then just I would be more than happy to see those because I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's actually on my website. So
okay, I will check it out.
I can send you.
I encourage everyone to check your website to find out about that.
Yeah.
All right. So do you have anything else to add? Because my question's finished before we get to our guest audiences today. So just do you have anything you want to share with us? Or like, just something I forgot or like it didn't reach my mind to ask you today?
No. I mean, I like to be prompted, so, if people would like to ask any questions, then I'd be happy. I'll try.
Okay. Thank you so much. So if anyone from our audiences would like to ask questions from Pak-Keung, please welcome and ask your questions. Okay, Fadila.
Hello, Pak. This is Fadila.
Hello.
I listened to your explanation and I believe that your work have lots of repetition, right? I mean, you repeat a lot. So do you have a counter to the point that you bored with what you are doing? And if so, how do you deal with that situation? What you do, and do you change direction or you change subject of your drawings? I'm just curious because for me, I will get easily bored if I'm doing the same thing over and over again. That's my question.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean,
thank you.
The simple question is no, I don't get bored. Doing something again. I once read an artist explaining, why he does things again and again, and he said, do you get bored of looking at the sunrise? Do you get bored of looking at the sunset? Because that happens again and again, doesn't it? And for me, no, but I don't get bored because there is a sense that something different is happening each time. So if I'm making the in papiro drawings, now I've made some which are about 2 meters high, and when I'm sticking to the rule, that there are actually days where I am repeating this the same system or the same process. But then sometimes it happens quicker, sometimes it happens a lot later. Something new actually breaks out from that. So another type of form has come into play, but I wouldn't have been able to achieve that form if I didn't go through that againness of the drawing, if you know what I mean. So there is a kind of faith going on there in that I believe something's going to grow out from this repetition. And it's interesting as well because there is the word devotion has been put to what I do. and that there is a kind of religious sense to that. And the fact, I mentioned before, drawing is like a kind of behavior. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Maybe it's partly a state of mind that I don't get bored with it. But yeah, no, I don't get bored. Don't know if that answers the question.
Yes. I understand about the devotion and stuff. It's very interesting because some artists love to like very totally different things, but some artists prefer to do like very repetitive. They get involved into the world very much. So it's interesting. I understand what you are trying to say, and yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Adila.
You were talking about this. I'm kind of, just suddenly pop into my mind, like, I don't know if such a thing exists, but because you do a lot of repetition in your work, and so just especially in like, just in paper kind of like drawing the big scale, and just you have to move your bodies for a few days, just maybe in repetition. So just, is there anything like such a, how to say it, like, just your body somehow gets hypnotized, like, just is that something like, just the term, like how that affects on your own body?
Yeah, I mean, pain is involved.
Yeah.
Often. I suppose, yeah, there is, it's a strange thing because there is this sense of relinquishing something when I'm making a drawing, especially the big drawings on that scale. So relinquishing, yeah, that sense of pain or discomfort. But then you do need control, yeah, to achieve some of the drawings I've made as well. And also that sense of erasing, forgetting or disregarding, what your body's telling you, because the work itself is the important thing. So yeah, yeah, there's two things going on, kind of opposite things going on, when I'm making a work. But being hypnotized, I don't really know what that means, and a lot of people use the word meditation as well, which again, the way I've been taught to meditate isn't like that. Mm-hmm. in the way that they say it. So I don't know what meditation means in that context. But do you mean trance-like? Do you mean trance or
just because somehow it reminds me like with what it might not have like just visual or like, I don't know, just even just similarity with like this I forgot the name of that kind of dance, just that are doing it in Turkey, like just or those
Sufi,
just Sufi, just Sufism kind of just dancing, because just like that's some sort of like, it has reputation, and also the body is involved, so just, but their purpose is something else, so just and somehow just to get into some certain points, even though through their body, I believe, I don't know, just I never tried that, but just that's why just I could see some sort of like just connection to the body with their reputation. So just that's why I just was wondering.
Yeah, that sense of being choreographed, I really like. Yeah, being choreographed by some outside forces or another body. So I mean, I've made these some works where choreography has played a strong role in my work. So one piece I made where I was drawing the outline of the sunlight as it moved across the room. So that was 5 hours of continuous drawing, right? But I was very conscious of being choreographed by the sun. using this single line, tracing the sunlight. And there was another piece where I was collecting my breath at two stages at 2 points of the day. So as the sun was rising and as the sun was setting. So I did this over 3 months, and my breath became liquid, became condensed. And so for those 3 months, I was being choreographed by the sun's actions appearing from above the valley and going down the other side of the valley. So there was that sense of choreography going on. And entwined with that is that sense of repetition, doing something again, but actually finding something new within that repeat.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, our dear participants today?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, actually, I have a question that I actually curious at. Actually, you, sir, have already talked a lot about the process, but I'm still curious that is that at least more than the pencil or the silver pen, is there anything to support you to do the really neatly line to all those lines? And then is that the imagination in your brain to make it, even though in 2D, but it seems like 3D shaped? Because there are some of the drawing that have some overlapping to make the tip and the front, so it's look like 3D even though it's in the 2D surface. So is that the thing is actually in your brain, or you just like, just now you say you just like continue doing the thing, then suddenly something break out, something new thing break out, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to me that I'm surprised by what I do as well. I'm actually engaging in something where I'm being taken along by something or led by something as well. Or whether that's the rule, whether that's the sun, or whether that's this vestige of something within my body. So I don't know how a drawing will unfold. And it's important to me that I don't know either. So yeah, I do want to be a participant in what I make. Yeah. So again, that sense of erasing myself, but also having control in what I do. I think I enjoy kind of straddling those 2 points. Yeah, but how a line is made, that sense of control, I think that's important to me. Again, that's to do with approach. So, I mean, in making a line, posture is involved, the breath is involved, and how I work up to the drawing, to the day's drawing, that's really important to me. Yeah. So, I mean, it's only kind of recently that I've kind of engaged with the art world. I've never saw my work as making a product. You know what I mean? So that participation in the art world came a lot later for me. So again, that sense of art making as a kind of behavior, was really central, yeah, to my practice. But yeah, how something is made is important, and it has to be made in a certain way. But then within that, there has to be a certain freedom as well. And again, maybe it goes back to the printmaking. When you're making prints, you're constrained by these processes and these materials and how they behave. But for me, it's about finding the freedom within that process where the work takes place. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. There's something that actually like remind me to like go back to the basic training of lines of those things, because as a student, like maybe sometimes they will be very rushing to get a new things, but sometimes you should go back to the most basic is the breathing when you're drawing. Right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Hank. So is there any other questions here for Pak-Keung? It seems not. All right, so thank you very much.
Been a pleasure.
I would like to take my chance and thank our wonderful team as well. Fadilani, Taki Hong, Salma Mansuri, Sohail Hosseini, and Amar Nasiri for their great contributions and help for this exhibition. And thanks again, Pak-Keung, for showing your work and sharing your experience with us today. And I would like to invite everyone to visit the exhibition at www.ierprojects.com, and the exhibition will run until 23rd October 2022. Have a lovely evening and hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot.